It has now been 15 years since you launched Klarna. You used to be called Kreditor, as I recall. Would you like to change name again?
It's funny you say that, because maybe the only thing that we didn't consider that much back then when we changed names was that we were going to go to English-speaking countries, because obviously Klarna is not the easiest. So I remember when we were just about to launch in the US, our chairman of the board, Michael Moritz, says like, "You sure you're going to do it with this name?" I was like, but other than that, no, we're super happy. I love the name. I think it's amazing.
It is definitely. How did you meet Skriptor?
Well, it's a nice story, because back in the days when we started the company, which is about 20 years now, we were obviously, 23-year-old guys, and we were going to handle a lot of money for other people. And so we wanted to have a name that sounded like very serious and professional and, heavy kind of. So we thought that like Kreditor, that sounded very like, serious. So we had that name for the first few years. But then we felt, as we actually had established ourselves and people started using the service and they trusted us, we also felt that it wasn't really reflective of who we were as a company, what we wanted to accomplish, and that there was so much else to the company, to the culture, like the youthful energy, the ambition, the aspirations, and we didn't feel that our name was really reflective of that. So we wanted something different, and then I remember we somehow heard of Skriptor, and at that point in time you were sitting in this fantastic place in this small tower, Observatorieparken in Stockholm. So I remember kind of us going up there and sitting down with you guys, and you were like, okay, here are 5,000 potential names. That was like the beginning. We just like, first I think because we talked a little bit about like the culture of the company, what we wanted to do, and then we just started like going through them, I remember. And
I remember it very well also. You came like three very enthusiastic guys, and you really had this vision, and it was so fantastic to work with you. What do you remember from the cooperation? What stood out?
I must say that you guys were extremely professional. Like, it really felt that like you know what you were doing. Like, one thing that I've come to appreciate so much over the years is that like I love people that are like nerdy about something, right? So like whatever it is, like I don't really care that much what you are like super nerdy about, but you guys were so nerdy about this. You could like feel that like this was what you were breathing and thinking, and like how do you really bring the best possible name and all the different, granularity and considerations.
We are still very nerdy, I can tell you. Klarna has this fantastic meaning in Swedish, to brighten up. You can see the sky becomes cloud-free. Have you seen any difficulties by this?
Well, I think first, one more fun thing to add to that experience was also that like I remember us sitting through these 5,000 names, right? And we were going through a lot of them, and we were like selecting and taking away and so forth, right? And at the end, we had 5 candidates. Klarna was one of the 5, but there was also another one called Movondo. And after like sitting the management team and talking, we decided to go with Movondo. And we actually went to the whole company at that point in time, which must have been like maybe 100 people or something. And we were like, okay, it's gonna be awesome, we're gonna change names to Movondo. And then like everyone hated it.
Oh, and really?
So it was like really dramatic, and they were like, oh, because also Movondo ends with like undo, which means like evil.
That's true.
What we then started doing also is we went out and we did these tests, I remember, on our website. We made like fake ads with different like, hey, save money with Movondo, save money with Klarna, save money with that. And all the ads looked exactly the same, so they were like neutral in how they looked. And so that's when we started comparing those 5, and we saw that like people seem to associate more positively with the idea of Klarna. Even though Klarna is a very Swedish word, it does, there are international, you have clear in English, you have klar in German, you have clarité in French. And the nice thing about Klarna is that it is clear and transparency, but there's also something in the name that has an emotional touch to it, which I like a lot. I mean, once we grew up in this industry, we realized that banking is maybe one of the least transparent and easy to understand services in the world. It's what you actually refer to as a low engagement product. So people it's not like everyone wakes up every day and like, oh, I would like a new payment solution, right? Like there are other things that people worry about. But at the same point of time, it's a service that everyone uses every day, right? So you have this kind of low engagement, but at the same time, everyday usage. And that's just, it has been a market that hasn't functioned really well. So there's a lot of excess profits. Companies make too much money. So I think it's like bringing back clarity and transparency and simplicity to this industry is nice. And I really think that we are, you know, on a good trajectory to do that, so that it actually becomes clear.
We also talked about this, that Klarna has become a verb in certain countries.
Yes.
And I also told your colleagues here that we had an American client that came to us and said, I want American names like Google and Klarna. So you have really charged your name with values that, So what kind of advice would you give someone today when they're thinking about new names?
I at least enjoy very much our process. Because again, you could go to like a general branding agency or a marketing agency, right, that does a lot of things, and I'm sure they're going to be super happy to go about this naming thing. But I personally very much enjoyed like meeting you guys and working with somebody who only focuses on this. Like the professionalism and the nerdiness around that was really, really fun.